We just got some news about an hour ago. The Supreme Court temporarily halted a ruling blocking access to an abortion pill called mifepristone. This drug, which has been approved by the FDA for 23 years, is used in more than half of all abortions across the country. Its status is safe for now. But the right-wing war on abortion is very much still ongoing. The only reason we're here in the first place is because a case was brought by anti-abortion groups, brought to a friendly judge that they knew they had on their side, as part of an explicit political project to turn the clock back. Not to slow down the pace of progress or to preserve the status quo, but to actively transport us back in time. And it's just one part of this concerted effort we're seeing from Republican politicians to run the country in reverse. We're going to show you tonight just how eerily similar the Republicans of today sound like the Republicans from 30, 50, 100 years ago. Abortion rights is obviously the clearest example of this. Last year, with the Dobbs decision, 6 conservative justices overturned a half-century of precedent, immediately plunging the country back to an era of criminalized reproductive care. The court, in its decision, put the right to abortion access back in the hands of state governments. And you've been watching how states, especially Republican-controlled states, have taken that handoff. Here in Florida, of course, the Republican governor just, well, kind of quietly signed a 6-week abortion ban. That, just to be clear, effectively bans all abortions entirely in the state of Florida. And now, not just in Florida, all across the South, where similar laws have gone into effect. It takes us back to where we were in the early 1970s, when women protested for abortion rights before Roe v. Wade.
We feel that women are the most important people to be heard from on this subject. As a stag hearing up there, all the members of the committee are men because all of the state senate is men. Out of the people who have been invited to testify, there's only one woman, our Catholic sister. And we don't think this is a fair way to hear about abortion.
That was 1969, and then rights were won, largely because of incredible organization and then the Supreme Court. And then 50 years later, those rights were lost again.
I was in college in 63 to 67, and people went to Japan, people went to backyard butchers. It was appalling. And here we are, I don't know, 50 years later, and it's the same thing. A bunch of men in big white buildings should not be deciding anything about your personal health.
One of those men is Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk of Texas. He wrote the first ruling on the abortion pill this month, and he did so based in part on his interpretation of an obscure law from 1873 called the Comstock Act. There was a set of them, actually, Comstock laws. They're 150 years old. They were named after this guy, Anthony Comstock. Anthony Comstock fought for the Union in the Civil War, but while doing so was so offended by the frequency with which his fellow soldiers talked about sex that he just decided to dedicate the rest of his life to eradicating what he called obscenity from public life. He crusaded against pornography and sex toys and free love, birth control, and yes, abortion. Now, in terms of the motivation in his diaries, he wrote a lot about his own weaknesses, seemed to describe himself as a chronic masturbator. So, yeah, that's the guy who inspired these Victorian-era laws, which a Texas judge in 2023 wants to bring us back to. Just to be clear, not just 1973, 1873. In fact, here's that judge, Matthew Kacsmaryk, in his own words from a right-wing talk show about a decade ago, where he sounds like a modern-day Comstock.
I just want to make very clear, people who experience a same-sex attraction are not responsible individually or solely for the atmosphere of the sexual revolution. You know, it's a long time coming. You know, it came after no-fault divorce. It came after we implemented very permissive policies on contraception. You know, the sexual revolution has gone through several phases. We just happen to be at the phase now where same-sex marriage is at the fore.
The full litany. In 2014, Kacsmaryk condemning no-fault divorce, permissive contraception, the sexual revolution, and gay rights. And of course, reversing gay rights in America has been and is another tentpole of the modern conservative movement. All the way back in the 1970s, Here's how an orange juice spokeswoman and anti-gay activist named Anita Bryant characterized her crusade.
We were told that, we were trying to put fear tactics into the campaign, but it was based on evidence of these child pornography rings, which are, homosexual prostitution rings, and the corruption of the children. This is nationwide.
Does that language sound familiar at all to you, right? It's about the children, the preying on children. We're hearing it again now, 45 years later, done even less tactfully.
The Democrats are the party of pedophiles. The Democrats are the party of princess predators from Disney. The Democrats are the party of teachers, elementary school teachers trying to transition their elementary school age children and convince them they're a different gender. This is the party of their identity, and their identity is the most disgusting, evil, horrible things happening in our country.
Like I said, the rhetorical skills have degraded over the last 45 years. Attacks on reproductive rights and LGBT folks, those have been pillars of the conservative movement for decades. But I have to admit, what I did not see coming, truly, is all the other ways Republicans right now are trying to make America terrible again.